Did you realize that some seemingly innocent foods can become significant health hazards if they're not stored properly? We're focusing on avoiding processed foods and those filled with preservatives. But today, it's not about the artificial. It's about the natural foods many of us believe we're protecting by putting them in the fridge. The truth is, refrigeration can actually trigger harmful chemical changes, destroy vital nutrients, and potentially increase your risk for serious health conditions, including cancer, diabetes, and metabolic disorders. Have you ever stored raw potatoes in the fridge thinking it would help them stay fresh longer? What about that overripe tomato sitting in your vegetable drawer? Or the loaf of bread chilling in your fridge, supposedly safe from mold? In reality, those habits might be quietly doing more harm than good. Let's talk about potatoes. Storing them in the fridge might seem logical. Cold preserves, right? But not in this case. When raw potatoes are stored at cold temperatures, the starch inside them rapidly converts into sugar. This is where the trouble begins. When those sugar-packed potatoes are later fried or roasted at high heat, a chemical reaction occurs between the sugar and the amino acids. This reaction produces acrylamide, a potentially toxic substance that's been linked in various studies to an increased risk of several types of cancer, including ovarian, esophageal, kidney, and endometrial. It's that deep golden crispiness you might love, the kind that gives French fries and roast potatoes their delicious crunch. But that golden color could be an indicator of acrylamide buildup. Even if your potato looks perfectly cooked and doesn't show signs of burning, refrigerating it beforehand can dramatically raise its acrylamide levels. It doesn't end there. Storing potatoes in the fridge also promotes spoilage. The excess humidity within the refrigerator creates a breeding ground for mold, fungi, and bacteria. Instead of staying fresh, the potato often turns soft, takes on a darker tone, and ends up in the trash. The texture changes, and so does its nutritional profile. To properly store potatoes and avoid all these problems, skip the fridge. Keep them in a dry, cool, well-ventilated spot, shielded from light. A cloth bag or an open basket works best. Avoid plastic bags, which trap moisture and hasten spoilage. When you cook potatoes, try to keep the temperature below 180 degrees Celsius and, if possible, eat them with the skin. The skin adds dietary fiber and slows blood sugar spikes, providing an extra layer of health protection. Now let's shift to tomatoes. Many people believe keeping tomatoes in the fridge keeps them fresher for longer. That's a mistake. Cold temperatures damage the internal structure of tomatoes. The cold breaks down their membranes, destroying their texture, dulling their flavor, and more importantly, damaging their nutrient content. One of the most powerful antioxidants found in tomatoes is lycopene. This compound is responsible for the red hue and offers numerous health benefits. It fights oxidative stress, reduces inflammation, supports cardiovascular health, and has even been linked to reducing the risk of certain cancers. But when tomatoes are stored in the refrigerator, their ripening process halts abruptly. This not only ruins the flavor, but also blocks the full development of lycopene, leaving you with a watery, tasteless tomato that's far less nutritious. Everyone has likely experienced biting into a fridge-cold tomato that's lost its flavor and become unpleasantly mushy. That's the result of internal tissue damage from the cold, and unfortunately, once that happens, there's no reversing it. Instead, store tomatoes in a breathable container like a basket, away from direct sunlight. Let them ripen naturally at room temperature. If you want to speed up the ripening process of green tomatoes, place them next to a banana or an apple. These fruits release ethylene gas, which encourages ripening. Also, avoid eating tomatoes with green patches. These can contain solanine, a naturally occurring toxin that can be harmful if consumed in high amounts. Now let's turn our attention to bread, a staple in many homes. Many people believe that storing bread in the fridge helps prevent mold and extend its shelf life. But cold temperatures actually do the opposite. They cause the starches in bread to recrystallize quickly, which accelerates the staling process. What you get is a loaf that goes tough and dry far more quickly than if you had left it on the counter. The cold air removes the moisture, and you're left with bread that's rubbery, crumbly, or stiff, and completely devoid of that fresh-baked aroma and softness that makes bread so enjoyable. If your bread is whole grain, homemade, or sourdough, refrigeration becomes even more of a problem. These types of bread are especially sensitive to cold and tend to deteriorate faster in terms of both taste and texture. Ironically, while most people refrigerate bread to avoid mold, the moisture levels inside the fridge can actually encourage mold growth, particularly if the bread is not sealed correctly. The environment inside the refrigerator might feel cold and dry, but the humidity levels fluctuate often due to condensation, which makes it easier for mold spores to take hold. That's especially true if you've ever put warm or freshly baked bread in the fridge. The steam and trapped moisture make mold growth almost inevitable. To keep bread fresh and free of mold, store at room temperature in a cool, dry place, preferably in a paper bag or a bread box that allows it to breathe. If you're not going to eat it within a few days, freeze it instead. Freezing halts mold growth and preserves the bread's texture better than refrigeration. Just be sure to slice it before freezing, so you can pull out what you need without thawing a whole loaf. Then toast or warm as desired. The common thread in all of these examples is that the refrigerator, while an amazing invention, isn't a one-size-fits-all solution for food storage. Not every food benefits from cold storage, and in some cases, like with potatoes, tomatoes, and bread, refrigeration can quietly diminish their health value, speed up spoilage, or even introduce new health risks. Understanding how to store natural foods properly helps protect their nutrients, preserve their taste, and reduce your exposure to potentially harmful compounds. It's a small adjustment in daily habits, but one that can significantly improve your overall health and well-being over time. What's the best way to store bread for maximum freshness? If you're planning to consume it within a couple of days, the best method is to store it in an airtight container or a cloth bag, away from light and humidity. This setup helps preserve its softness, flavor, and overall freshness. But if you know you won't finish the loaf that quickly, the smartest move is to freeze it. Freezing bread locks in its nutrients and prevents waste, giving you a longer window to enjoy each slice as fresh as the day it was baked. But here's something even more fascinating. When you freeze bread and then heat it in a toaster, oven, or skillet, the process actually transforms some of its starch into resistant starch. This type of starch resists digestion in the small intestine and reaches the colon intact, where it functions similarly to soluble fiber. It supports digestion, slows down the absorption of sugars, stabilizes blood glucose levels, and feeds the beneficial bacteria in your gut. In this way, not only are you reducing food waste, but you're also enhancing the health benefits of your bread just by changing how you store and reheat it. Before moving forward, take a moment to reflect. Do you often store any of these foods in the fridge? Have you unknowingly been sabotaging their nutritional value? Let's continue, because the next food is one many people refrigerate without realizing the harm it can cause. Have you ever placed a green avocado in the fridge, thinking you were preserving it for later? That's a common misstep. Avocados are sensitive to cold temperatures, especially before they ripen. When stored in the refrigerator too soon, the cold halts the natural enzymatic activity that helps the fruit ripen. This interference doesn't just delay the process, it disrupts it. The result is an avocado that might feel hard on the outside, but inside it's tough, stringy, discolored with dark spots, and has a bitter taste. More importantly, the cold diminishes the levels of active compounds that make avocados so beneficial. Unripe avocados contain prebiotic fibers, healthy monounsaturated fats, and antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin, all of which contribute to heart health, brain function, and digestive support. But once the ripening process is interrupted, the production and preservation of these nutrients are also affected. Allowing an avocado to ripen at room temperature is the best way to ensure it develops a soft, creamy texture and full nutritional potential. There's a simple and effective trick to speed up ripening if you're short on time. Just place the avocado in a paper bag alongside a banana or an apple. These fruits emit ethylene gas, a natural plant hormone that accelerates the ripening process. Within a day or two, you'll have a perfectly ripe avocado. Once it's ripe, it can be stored in the refrigerator, but only for a short period, ideally not more than 2 days. To preserve the green color and fresh flavor after cutting, lightly coat the exposed flesh with lemon or lime juice. The acidity prevents oxidation, helping the fruit stay vibrant and tasty longer. If you know you won't be using it within a couple of days, freezing avocado is a great option. Though the texture will change slightly, It retains most of its nutrients and works perfectly in smoothies, spreads, and dips. Simply peel, mash, and store it in airtight containers. This method can keep your avocado usable for up to 6 months. Now listen carefully, because we're moving on to one of the world's most commonly mishandled fruits, bananas. It's easy to fall into the habit of tossing bananas into the fridge immediately after getting home from the store. But that's a mistake. The peel of the banana is extremely sensitive to cold. As soon as it's refrigerated, the skin begins to darken and develop black patches, even though the interior remains unaffected, at least initially. However, inside the fruit, chilling changes are already underway. The cold disrupts the banana's texture, making it mealy and mushy instead of soft and creamy. It also interferes with the banana's natural sugars and nutrient profile, reducing the availability of compounds such as dopamine and vitamin B6. But there's another hidden danger. As bananas ripen, their glycemic index rises, meaning they release sugar into the bloodstream more quickly. If consumed when overly ripe, they can cause sudden spikes in blood sugar and insulin. Over time, this pattern can contribute to insulin resistance, weight gain, increased cravings, and a higher risk of chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes, and even some types of cancer. For the healthiest banana experience, eat it at its peak, firm, yellow, and free from excessive browning or softness. To preserve bananas at this stage and slow the ripening process, wrap the stem ends in aluminum foil or plastic wrap. This simple trick helps reduce the release of ethylene gas from the stem, which in turn delays the overall ripening of the bunch. If you got ripe bananas and no immediate plans to eat them, freezing is an excellent way to avoid waste. Just peel and slice them, then store the pieces in containers or freezer bags. Frozen bananas are a perfect base for smoothies, banana bread, or healthy desserts. Let's now explore a food that's both a culinary staple and a natural medicine, garlic. Its health benefits are extraordinary, ranging from heart support to anti-inflammatory and immune-boosting effects. But mishandling garlic can undermine all of these benefits and even introduce health risks. Many people refrigerate garlic, particularly after peeling or chopping it. But raw garlic stored in the fridge begins to sprout prematurely due to the low temperature. Those green shoots signal that the garlic is undergoing metabolic changes. When garlic starts sprouting, it loses its allicin, the potent sulfur-containing compound responsible for its medicinal properties. Allicin only forms when garlic is crushed or chopped and needs time to activate at room temperature. Cold environments reduce this process, leaving you with garlic that may still taste pungent but lacks the full range of health benefits. Even worse, some people prepare mixtures of chopped garlic and oil and leave them at room temperature. This can create the perfect conditions for the growth of Clostridium botulinum, the bacterium that causes botulism, a rare but potentially fatal illness. To get the best from garlic, store it whole and unpeeled in a dry, cool, and well-ventilated place, not in the fridge. A mesh bag, paper sack, or ceramic garlic keeper is ideal. If you've already peeled or chopped the cloves, they can be refrigerated for a short period, but they must be kept in an airtight container and used quickly. Better yet, make fresh garlic part of your daily routine by chopping it a few minutes before cooking and letting it sit to maximize allicin formation. Understanding the nuances of food storage can help you preserve nutrients, flavor, and safety. With just a little extra care, you can extend the life of your ingredients and make every meal not only more delicious, but also more nourishing. It appears to be a sensible choice, doesn't it? But storing garlic improperly can pose significant risks. Combining chopped garlic with oil and leaving it at room temperature creates an ideal environment for the growth of Clostridium botulinum, the bacterium responsible for botulism. Botulism is a serious illness that affects the nervous system, can cause paralysis, and in severe cases, may lead to death. That's why it's crucial to take appropriate steps in handling garlic. For everyday use, whole garlic should be left in its peel and stored in a dry, cool, well-ventilated area, away from direct sunlight. This preserves its potency and prevents early sprouting or spoilage. But if you need a quick and convenient way to use garlic without compromising its safety, freezing is your best option. Simply chop or crush the garlic, portion into ice cube trays or airtight bags, and store in the freezer. This method retains the flavor, aroma, and health-promoting properties, while also eliminating the risk of bacterial growth. Now we arrive at the final food item on this list, and it might be the most unexpected one of all: honey. For generations, honey has been cherished not only for its sweetness, but also for its healing properties. Rich in antioxidants, enzymes, and antibacterial compounds, honey has been widely used in traditional medicine to soothe sore throats, heal wounds, and boost immunity. However, despite all its benefits, honey can lose much of its value if it's stored the wrong way. One of the most common mistakes people make is storing honey in the refrigerator. It's often done with the intent to preserve it longer, but what actually happens is quite the opposite. When honey is exposed to cold temperatures, a natural process called crystallization begins. This causes the sugars in the honey to separate from the moisture content, resulting in a thick, grainy texture and a cloudy appearance. Many mistake this for spoilage and try to fix it by heating the honey, either in the microwave or over direct flame in a pan, which only worsens the problem. Heating honey above 40 degrees Celsius destroys many of its beneficial enzymes and antioxidant compounds. This reduces its healing abilities and nutritional strength. If your honey is crystallized, the best approach is to place the jar in a bowl of warm, not hot, water and gently stir until the crystals dissolve. This way, you preserve the integrity of the honey without destroying its natural benefits. For ideal storage, honey should be kept at room temperature in a tightly sealed glass jar, away from direct sunlight and moisture. This protects its natural composition and keeps it smooth, flavorful, and potent for much longer. While honey is a better option than refined sugar in many cases, it's important to understand that it's still a concentrated source of sugar. Overconsumption can lead to elevated blood glucose, increased fat buildup in the liver, and heightened levels of inflammation in the body, similar to what happens with refined sugar. Despite being natural, honey should be treated more like a medicinal food than a daily sweetener. A small amount, like a teaspoon once or twice a day, can offer soothing effects during a cold or help with seasonal allergies, but using it freely across all meals may backfire. When taken in excess, honey triggers the same metabolic pathways as table sugar, leading to insulin spikes, increased hunger, and fat accumulation around the abdomen. Over time, this can contribute to conditions such as metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, or type 2 diabetes. Now, let's take a moment to review what we've learned about these common foods that many people mistakenly store in the refrigerator. Potatoes, when stored cold, begin converting starch into sugar, which can form acrylamide during high-heat cooking, a compound linked to several types of cancer. Tomatoes lose their vibrant flavor, appealing texture, and vital antioxidants like lycopene when exposed to cold temperatures. Bread becomes stale more quickly, losing moisture and inviting mold growth in the humid refrigerator environment. Avocados stored unripe in the fridge never reach their full nutritional potential, as the cold stops the natural ripening process, creating a subpar texture and taste. Bananas, though delicious and nutritious, undergo an unpleasant transformation in the fridge, leading to altered texture, higher sugar concentration, and a decline in overall nutrient availability. Garlic, when chopped and stored in oil at room temperature, can invite a deadly risk if not handled properly, and even refrigeration may lead to sprouting and the loss of allicin, its primary health-promoting compound. Honey, a powerful natural remedy, crystallizes in cold temperatures and loses its healing benefits when overheated. And while we're all doing our best to protect our food and health, many of these choices are based on habits, assumptions, or common myths that have gone unchallenged for years. It's easy to make these mistakes, but it's just as easy to fix them. Now that you're equipped with the facts, you can make better choices to safeguard your food's quality and protect your long-term health. If this information helped you rethink how you store your groceries, go ahead and share this video with someone you care about. You might just help them avoid the same mistakes and make smarter, healthier decisions in the kitchen. And if you've ever stored these foods in the fridge before, don't worry. Most people have. But knowledge is the first step to change. Leave a comment below, letting us know which of these surprised you the most. Have you ever noticed a change in flavor or texture and didn't know why? What's one storage habit you're going to change today? We'd love to hear from you. And if you like more insights like these, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss out on future videos packed with practical health wisdom.